In this video, I'll show you how to get the best sound out of your USB condenser microphone and feature the Fifine K678. This is the Fifine K678 USB condenser. It has a fixed cardioid polar pattern. It comes with a desktop stand and can be mounted on a standard microphone boom stand. Controls on the body of the microphone for muting, volume, and headphone volume. On the bottom, there is USB connection, the stand mount, and a headphone jack. The cost of this microphone is only $95 Canadian. You can buy it on Amazon. I'm going to have an affiliate link for Amazon.com, and it's currently sold out, but if it becomes available, you happen to be going through that link, or if you buy anything through that link, it will help support the channel. So full disclosure, Fifine contacted me about reviewing this microphone. I don't really review microphones on this channel. I don't really like USB mics in general, but I did have a need for one, and I think this one kind of stands out as a low cost but high quality option. So the main reason I agreed to do this review was that it's something that I can actually use more than for this one video. So rather than spending all this time shipping the mic from China, I just ordered it on Amazon, got it the next day, and they compensated me for that shipping cost and the cost of the microphone through PayPal. So in other words, I get the mic for free, but I'm not paid by them to do the review. I get paid through the ads on this video, and if you buy anything through my affiliate link. There are two things that you need to do to get a USB mic to sound good. The first is to isolate it from any mechanical vibrations and interference that you might get. That's like tapping on the table or anything like that. Keyboard noise, vibrations in general, anything that would touch the mic and create a sound in the capsule. And the second thing is to optimize the signal level. So the recording level, your monitoring levels, the mic has controls on it, but it doesn't 100% control the volume of the recording. It's only kind of a trim. It adjusts a range of what is possible. And the rest is done in the computer. And I think that is something that a lot of people overlook because it works fine right out of the box. Plug it in, it picks up the signal, and you can start recording. But what if your signal's too loud? What if you're recording acoustic guitar and it's very loud and boomy? How do you adjust that? If you have a quiet voice, how do you compensate for that? You need to know about the settings in Windows and Mac, and even on my PS4. There's settings there to optimize the sound of the mic. And I think this applies to more than just this one specific mic. Let's first look at isolating the vibrations and things like that, or at least show what the problem is here. Okay, so I've got both of my microphones here. I've got my trusty AKG D5 dynamic mic, very directional, handling noise very well, all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna tap on the table, hit some keys, and it's not really picking up any of that noise. There is a bit of noise if I touch the actual stand, but nothing too terrible. It's not going to ruin the recording. Now let's switch over to the Fifine. We'll tap on the table a little bit, touch the stand itself, and big boomy sound, not really usable. I also have these approximately the same distance away. The dynamic mic is just longer. It's a little bit easier to get to my face, whereas the Fifine, it's got to be kind of in this one spot. It's as close as I can get it without it being way too low for me. And keyboard noise, tapping, yeah, loud and boomy. So how do we fix that? We can try isolating the mic a little bit. I've got a piece of cork here. Put that there, and then the sound is still there. It still gets picked up. Kind of changes the tone a little bit going through this. You could just use other soft materials, foam or cloth, a thick towel would be one way of optimizing that. But I think the best thing to do is just to get it off the table entirely, get it onto a stand like this one. So now I have the mic closer to my face, it's off the table, it's isolated from the tapping, touching of the desk. You hear it acoustically. It'll still pick it up because it's in the room. I can hear it in my ears, but it's not going directly into the microphone capsule, so you're not going to get that big bass boost. This mic does not use a shock-mounted suspension system. There's no internal damping or anything like that to keep vibrations from going into the microphone. So if I touch this mic stand, you still get that big boom. So it's better because it's not picking up everything from the desk, where it's a much larger surface area. It's more sensitive. So now we just need to worry about the stand itself and touching any of the wires or anything like that. And you shouldn't be doing that while recording anyways, but just something to keep in mind. It's better than it was. And I just want to point out one thing that doesn't really fit anywhere else in this review, but I do have the mic stand mount here. This is a great place to use the included cable strap to hold the cable to the mic. It'll keep it from being pulled out or bent sideways or anything like that. So it'll last much longer, and I think it's just a good thing to do in general with any USB mic. If you have the option of strapping down that cable somewhere, then that is a very good thing to do. So you guys will have to let me know how this sounds to you. To me, it sounds a lot like how I sound. It sounds very natural in my headphones. I love having direct monitoring right into my headphones without any latency. That's a really great benefit. I like that this is so small. I don't need a lot of extra equipment. So if I'm traveling, if we ever get to travel again and I need to make a video, it's nice to have just like a really professional sounding microphone that is basically one cable to the computer, one cable for my headphones, and that's all I need. So this next section I think should also apply to other USB microphones. A lot of mics have the volume controls built into them, but they're also going to be software controls. So there's going to be a blend of controlling it in Windows or in your Mac, as well as controlling it on the microphone itself. There's a lot of kind of moving parts and confusing things about this. It took me a day to really figure this out, and I figured it's worth, if it takes me that long to figure it out, someone that has no experience with recording is going to take even longer, or they just won't ever figure it out. When it comes to optimizing the microphone levels, we need to find a balance of being able to hear ourselves loud and clear, recording a signal that is not too quiet and not too loud. Really the same thing applies to every microphone, but I think it's a little more complicated because there's hidden controls inside of the computer that affect the recording levels. Whereas if you're used to XLR microphones, the only thing you need to worry about is the microphone gain on your preamp. So this is taking that preamp out of the situation, putting it into the microphone itself, but then handing off a large chunk of the processing to the computer and hiding that. So let's get this optimized. So we're going to start off in Windows doing this, and then I'll show you again in the Mac how you set this up. You're going to go to your Start menu and search for Control Panel. And from here, find Hardware and Sound. Click on that. And we're going to Manage Audio Devices. And then you'll find under the Playback tab the Fifine K678 or whatever USB microphone you're using. Go to Properties. And under levels, we have the speakers level, which is your headphones, and then microphone level, which is the recording level, how much signal gets recorded. So let's first start with the recording levels. Where is it not adding any gain or taking away signal level? You might think that 100% is the full signal, but you might think that, no, that's going to amplify it some amount. And it's somewhere in the middle. It's actually 40% in here is unity gain, where it's not adding any additional level after the analog to digital conversion. Here's the hidden control. If you right click this mute button, you actually get to see this in percentage or decibels. So if we switch this to decibels, you can see that currently I have this at plus 3 dB. And for voice, I think that's a good balance, for my voice at least. So we're boosting the signal after analog to digital conversion by 3 dB. And we have the trim on the microphone at 12 o'clock, 50%. So I don't think that we're adding anything more than the 3 dB. I could be wrong, but I think this is a very good balance. I can turn down the microphone level a little bit. If something gets too loud, I can turn it up even further without having to go into the software and adjust things. When I was recording acoustic guitar, I did need to turn it down a little bit further just so I wasn't all the way at the bottom of the range on this, which was affecting how much signal was in my headphones. There's that balance there as well. But turning this down will turn down the recording level, as will this. That's confusing, I think. Now when we go to the speakers, same thing. We can set this to decibels or percentage. And so 50% on here equals minus 9.4 decibels. I can hear myself fine with this level, and there's still 50% of the range of the volume control on the actual mic. Optimize that for you. If you play back some music through these headphones, is that going to be too loud? How does your voice compare to that music? Can you find a workable balance with that? Yeah, you just want to make sure that you're not too low and then having to boost it in post, or having it be too loud and having to declip, or just having to throw away recordings. Finding that perfect balance, I think for me, is right here with the speakers at minus 9.4 and the microphone at plus 3, even up to plus 6. It's probably fine. If you're on the speakers tab, you get levels up to plus 7. But if you close this, go to recording, go to the same microphone, and then go to levels, you get up to plus 14. All right, so now we're going to switch over to the Mac, and I'll show you the same thing, but on a different platform. So now let's set up this microphone on the Mac. I've got it connected, and we can see it here in the sound settings. So I've got the Fifine K678 enabled for input, and there is a volume slider here, but it really doesn't give us any detail. Again, we know from Windows that it should be at 40% to be unity gain, but it's a little hard to tell. And if you didn't know that already, then you wouldn't have any way of really knowing this. It'd be a lot of trial and error, I should say. The output volume can still be adjusted here as well, and that's not going to affect recording level, just the sound in your headphones. And this is also going to control the system sounds, so it's just something to be aware of. There's always going to be that balance. You probably don't want to have this up at 100% and then turn everything way down in the headphones. It's not going to be a good balance. And under output, I have it set for the Fifine K678 USB. And yeah, in those settings, that's all you need to do. We can also go to audio MIDI setup, and we get some more advanced controls. And we actually see this as two different devices. So we're just going to go to the input one, which just says microphone 2 and 2 IMs. And so we've got the settings here. If the volume level is at 50%, that's 3.062 decibels. And that's about where I had it on Windows. Nope. We set this to 0.4. That's very close to unity gain on this. We're not adding anything and we're not taking anything away. And if we don't want to hear it, just uncheck that through button. And so that button there, this is the master pass-through toggle. So I didn't even find that button on Windows. I'm sure it's there, but if you want to completely disable input monitoring, direct monitoring through this microphone, that's the checkbox, that through checkbox. I think probably the best setting for this mic is something like 0.52, and you need to make sure that you're doing the front left, front right levels the same in most situations. But this actually gives us an opportunity for more advanced users to actually set like a safety volume. So you could have one pushed to kind of the max of how loud you would go, just to reduce the amount of post-processing you need to do. But then if you ever run into the situation where you're clipping, you get a little bit louder, a little more energetic or something like that, you can set up a safety recording by setting one of these to like 0.25. And so now one side is much quieter, but in post-production you could solo one of those and have it in the center, and you could get unclipped audio as a safety. A little more complicated, not really necessary in most cases, but there you go. We also have volume control in here, set as front and left. So I've got this at 70%, but this is the same as the volume control. Even the button on your keyboard will affect this. And again, you know how that works anyways. Just doing it through audio MIDI setup gives you a more careful number, you can type in the specific number and you can see what that is in decibels. So that should be all there is to it. So let's summarize what I like and dislike about this mic. I like that it's an all metal body. It feels really rugged and it feels professional. There's a zero latency monitoring, which is great. I don't always listen to myself in headphones when I'm recording just because it's a pain going through an interface sometimes to do that. And I don't like having to wear headphones all the time. For certain applications, it's very important to have that low latency or zero latency monitoring. It's great. I like that it's very small. It's not going to take up a lot of space in a backpack or anything like that. But because it's kind of hefty and all metal construction, it doesn't feel like a toy. Like there's a lot of USB mics out there that are just like $1 in parts, all plastic, and it sounds like that. Not the case with this mic. It comes with a really good quality USB A to mini cable with metal ends, so it's a little more crush resistant. Good size, thickness. It's got the ferrite beads on it, and if you strap it down to the mic, it should last quite a long time. It's also a pretty good length of that cable. Not too long, not too short. They did a good job with that. I think the sound is pretty crisp and clear. I don't feel like a pop filter is 100% necessary, or I don't have to do any crazy processing with de-essing or anything like that, as long as I'm kind of off axis like this, not pointed directly at me and a short distance away from my face. I think it's picking up a lot of detail, but not a lot of stuff that I don't want. And the body of the mic itself doesn't have a weird resonance like one of the Rode mics I used to have. It's also plug and play, which means that it works without any additional software on Windows and Mac, and it even worked on my PS4. I was able to plug that in. The PS4 picked that up as a headset microphone. I was able to listen to gameplay through the headphones and chat without any issues. So the downsides, there's a loud pop and click when pressing the mute button. And it's kind of annoying because it's something that's pretty easy to actually solve in the analog world. So when they designed this mic, they just took a shortcut. They put in that button. They went through the effort of giving us a very useful function, but they didn't make sure that it didn't pop. So that's going to draw attention to the fact that you're muted or coming back. And it could be silent. It doesn't need to do that. I hate when they do that. Another complaint that's not really specific to this microphone, that the mic and the headphone levels are not 100% analog, and they're not 100% digital either. So you've got to split your gain staging between the mic settings and the software settings, and that's kind of annoying, especially because Windows kind of hides that. It's not so quick to get to, unfortunately. I wish they would have put some damping inside for the capsule, isolating the stand mount from the body, because it picks up mechanical interference very easily. Just touching the cable, you can hear that so clearly. The diameter of the microphone makes it so that it doesn't fit in any of the shock mounts that I already own. As a way of getting rid of that mechanical vibration, I'll need to either make something myself or find some third-party seller that has something that fits the right diameter or can attach to this, but I'm not too hopeful that that's going to work out. And the last thing is maybe specific to me, but I own a lot of camera equipment and accessories, and the threading on the stand mount is a 1/4 inch, but it's not the standard 1/4 20, which would work with pretty much all of my camera equipment. So if I wanted to mount it to one of these flexible folding tripods, you can't actually do that directly. It would be great to just connect this to this, done. But I gotta go this and then 2 or 3 more adapters before it will fit onto this. I can do it, but it's ugly and unnecessary. I think they just kind of made a mistake with that. It could have been much better. But for other people, they probably wouldn't even think about that, and no big deal at all. But in the end, I would definitely recommend it. I think it sounds great. Good solid package, should last quite a long time, and it's not crazy expensive or, cheap and disposable. I think it's a good product. So that's it for my review of the Fifine K678. It's a fantastic microphone, and hopefully, even if you don't have this microphone, you have found some useful information in this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, support the Reaper Blog through Patreon, and visit reaperblog.net for a lot more tutorials.